Building an indie business in the center of venture capital. I am Alex Edmonds. People on the internet call me SupremeRumHam, and this is the Building an Indie Business podcast. Okay, so in a previous episode, I talked about how to create an album, like put it on streaming platforms and things like that, and getting the copyright correct. That episode was how to create an album, and I did that episode because I am helping a friend release an album, and so now the album is released, and I'm going to talk about what we did for pre-release, because there's creating the album, there's pre-release, and then there's the release. So yeah, I'm going to talk about pre-release. So let's get into it. So what you need to know about creating an album pre-releasing an album, is that you put it on all the streaming platforms, and then some of these streaming platforms have like a pre-save. So that's like the streaming equivalent of pre-ordering an album. So you give them a link and someone clicks on it and it takes them to that artist profile page, and then they can save like this upcoming release. So you can do that for Spotify, and then for iTunes it's a little different for Apple. There's a pre-save for Apple Music, but then for iTunes you offer, so for iTunes you're offering up for sale. So the difference is that you make one track available for someone that pre-ordered it, and they can hear that one track. And then for iTunes, when you get a pre-release, when you offer the album up for pre-ordering, you get your artist page created. And that's not something that happens with Spotify. For Spotify, your artist page gets created the day your album is released. So Apple has 72 million users, and Spotify has 345 million users. Yeah. So then another thing you can do on Spotify is you pitch songs to playlist creators. So Spotify has a bunch of Spotify controlled playlists that they send out to their users, and you can pitch songs on a pre-released album to those playlist curators, and then you fill out this form and you say why you think this song belongs on their playlist, and then if they like it, they'll approve it for the playlist, right? So we did that too. And then also, playlists are searchable on Spotify. So what I did was I created a playlist of songs that were related to the genre, and I tried to grow a following for the playlist, get people to subscribe to it, and then once the album became live, like the day the album was released, I added it to the playlist so that I'd get downloads from the people who subscribe to the playlist, right? And then YouTube. So for YouTube, it's very similar. You have your YouTube channel, and then you get like your official artist tag, and all your music on your YouTube account is now under your artist tag, and that means you get more money. So before the release, what you try to do is you get more YouTube subscribers, and you do that through SEO because it's Google, right? So you take advantage of that. You fill out your description, you do your title really nice and optimized, you do your tags, you use the thumbnail, things like that, right? And then also, you guys know I'm a big fan of email. So what I did is I set up an email list for like fans and anyone that wanted to get updates on the album. So I would send out emails like documenting the process, like, oh, we recorded track 15, we recorded track 10, and that was just like an email people would get every week, and that was just me trying to stay top of mind. And then I also had him start a podcast, and he just talked about like every track for an episode. Like one episode was one track, and that was basically also staying top of mind and giving like a behind the scenes look in between for the podcast or for the album. Podcast is just what I have up here when I think of audio. Okay. And then we live streamed the album release. So like we stayed up till midnight and we streamed, like just hanging out. Right, we couldn't play the album because it would get flagged. But yeah, Twitch, YouTube, I had that all set up through Restream. You can find that episode about streaming. I think it was in like sometime in late 2020 that I released that episode. Okay, then I promoted it on Twitter from the band's what's the word I'm looking for? The band's Twitter account, right? So then I pinned the pre-save as a tweet, and then every day I tweeted out YouTube links up to the release of the album, and then I added links to the bio, and that was basically it in terms of Twitter. I don't know, it wasn't a lot of ROI there. I followed some people, that too, and then we reached out to some publications, gave them early access to the album so that they can listen to it. Not many publications actually wrote about it, but yeah, that's an option for some artists, right? And then finally, we released a single. So this was a brand new band, and they didn't have their Spotify page ready, or like access to it, right? So, or the iTunes. Yeah, we didn't have access to Spotify, and as I just said, they only give you access on the release day. So what we decided to do was release a totally unrelated single to the album. It was just like a one-off, and that would give us access to the marketing tools. So before the release, so we could have it all set up. Like before we released the single, we didn't have access to playlists, like pitching songs. And then Spotify has this feature called Spotify Canvas, where I guess it's only on mobile, where it'll show you like a little GIF that the listeners can watch, and that apparently increases the amount of streams and shares. So I created one and I added it to every song just to, get access, or for the off chance that it actually did increase downloads or streams for us, right? And then it gives you a chance to start growing an audience before the album release, because you get to promote this single And if people like the single, they'll subscribe to the page, and then when the album is ready to go, they get it in their music inboxes, or whatever it's called for Spotify. So yeah, that's what I did for pre-release of the album. Yeah. So that's all I have. There's also the release, which I'm still working on that because we're not done. So that's all I have for pre-release. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.